It's the day after Halloween, and times couldn't get much spookier for the New England Patriots, who find themselves losers of 3 straight. They haven't scored a touchdown in October, and now they find themselves in Buffalo facing a pretty good Bills team that could really shake things up. It's really weird for a New England team that we always kind of shoot into the AFC East favorites year after year after year. And now they could make some noise, but it's a must-win game for each of them. I'll touch on that game more in a minute, but my bigger point is it's time to make or break these teams' playoff hopes. They need to win some games from week 8, 9, 10, 11. Trade deadlines coming up. What teams are going to make a move, what teams aren't. It's really going to be interesting how the next few weeks unfold. But here we go. Week 8 picks. Last week coming off a 3-1 week, my best week of doing this. Pat myself on the back, but it won't last long. I guarantee you, this won't last long. But I got a couple games that I'm really passionate about. I hope they go well. So here we go. Week 8 picks right here. Let's start with this one, and this one's my favorite pick of the weekend. The Steelers in Baltimore taking on the Ravens. Give me Pittsburgh +4 here. We know a couple things about Baltimore. They love to run the ball. They're first in rushing. They're not quite as comfortable passing the ball. They're 31st. And we know the big question mark with them is, can they play from behind? Well, we know a couple big things about Pittsburgh as well. They stomp out running games quick. Remember, first game of the season against the Giants, Saquon Barkley, 6 yards on 15 attempts. Last week against Tennessee, they stomped out Derrick Henry pretty quick. Run-centric Cleveland was held to 3 points on that afternoon. And now they face Baltimore, and although Baltimore probably has the most lethal running game of the 4 games I just listed, there's still a threat there. And like I said, Baltimore struggles to play from behind. We see it against Kansas City almost every time those teams play. Pittsburgh is number 1 in first half scoring in the league. So watch the Steelers to get off to a quick start, and I don't know if Baltimore, if Pittsburgh goes up 14-0 or 10-0, I don't know if Baltimore can recuperate after that. And yes, Pittsburgh lost the last 2 last season to the Ravens. That was without Big Ben. Big Ben has won 4 of his last 5 against the Ravens dating back to 2016. And you're not getting this prototypical Ben Roethlisberger this season. He's under control, first of all, and he's efficient. 13 touchdowns, 4 picks, 68% completion rate. I like Pittsburgh here in a big spot. Upset alert. Give me the Steelers 33-30 over the Ravens. I think I'm just as passionate about this one as well. Indy's going up to Detroit to take on the Lions. Give me the Colts -2.5. This game's not too hard to figure out. I know Detroit's a force to be reckoned with in the last 2 weeks. They've won 2 in a row, but those teams were Jacksonville and Atlanta, who are a combined 2-11 on the season. Detroit does this to us every year. They win like 2 games in a row, and then all of a sudden everyone's like talking buying at the trade deadline. It's really weird for them. But Indy, off a bye, is going to perform really, really well here. You know, they're going to fend off a hot Detroit team. The weird thing about the Colts is I thought in the offseason they were a gunslinger away from really contending in the AFC. But the 3 times Phillip Rivers threw the least, they're 3-0. So they need to dominate the run game, and guess what? That might suit them in this game. Detroit's 26th in rushing yards allowed. Jonathan Taylor's not necessarily a workhorse back yet, but sparingly, they might be able to get some yards. He averages just over 4 yards per carry. I like the Colts here off a bye, prepared for Detroit, 27-20 over the Lions. Quick note about Colts-Lions. Detroit has yet to win at home this season, so that could bode well for Indianapolis heading into Week 8. Another Week 8 matchup that is really important for both teams, Patriots-Bills. I'll take the Bills -4.5. That's a really uncomfortable number for me because betting against Bill Belichick and giving up a lot of points, that's an uncomfortable space. But if Buffalo's going to beat the Patriots, this has to be the week. Buffalo, I'm talking to you. If you want to win the division and put yourself in the serious contender tier, you have to put the Patriots away this weekend. You're at home, first of all. If you look at the Patriots injury list, it's a lengthy one. No Stephon Gilmore, no Julian Edelman, no N'Keal Harry, J.C. Jackson is questionable, no Kyle Duggar. It's a really thin Patriots team that was already thin to begin with after the 8 opt-outs and the thin free agency crop. This is a thin Patriots team. Cam Newton maybe on thin ice. I don't really know what to make of it. If Buffalo wants to put themselves in the contender space, which I think they have the potential to be, but they need to prove it this weekend. They're at home. I'm going to repeat this. They're at home, and the injuries are stacking up for the Patriots, and their quarterback is a little uneasy right now. This is the time to take advantage of every edge you have. Josh Allen was in the MVP consideration first couple weeks. That trend has kind of faded at this point after losses to Tennessee and Kansas City. I was having real doubts about whether Buffalo's legitimate. Here's the time to prove it, Buffalo. I have them winning. It's going to be an interesting game, though. 24-19 over the Patriots. I just have a hard time believing this Patriots team is just going to walk into Buffalo and play well. I really do. Like, watching the last, month. I was going to say, the last couple weeks, but, the last month. It's been really hard to watch. They lost to the Denver field goal team. They lost to the Niners, who injury-riddled themselves. It was a really tough watch the last couple games, and I just have a hard time believing that they're going to do much in Buffalo this weekend. So, yeah, I'll take the Bills 24-19 in a weird, awkward, kind of zany game. This is also a game that a lot of people are going to end up circling on their NFL calendars. The Rams going to Miami to take on the Dolphins in Tua Tagovailoa's first career NFL start. Give me the Rams -3 here. I think it just boils down to Tua's not going to win his first game. Joe Burrow didn't. Justin Herbert didn't. I don't think it'll come too quickly to Tua. And I think the decision was made to start him in Week 8 because of how those other two were performing so early. Justin Herbert, he impressed us really early. And the Dolphins, I think they just want to see what they have in Tua. Ryan Fitzpatrick was playing pretty well for a fringe playoff team on the outside looking in, but kind of an interesting case here in the AFC East. They're second in the division right now. LA is just too talented. I know Miami is at home. I know they're rested. They had a bye last week. And I know LA has to travel cross country. But LA is top 10 in yards and yards per play. Despite their talented receivers, they run at the second most in the NFL, 7th in rushing yards. They get about 4.5 yards per carry. Miami, on the other side of the coin, gives up the 3rd most yards per carry. That'll be the difference on top of Tua's inexperience. Give me the Rams pretty comfortably here, 26-17 in Tua's debut in Miami.